everybody, welcome back to Spill the Tea Lou. My name is Lou. You might have noticed we're going a little bit earlier than usual tonight. It is normally 7:30 when I go live. You haven't forgot how to tell the time. It is 7:10. But obviously we have Champions League football tonight. When I say we, I mean you, because my team doesn't have any of that carrying on. But I couldn't go a whole evening without talking to my bestest three friends, and I thought, well, do you know what? I saw a few things, shockingly, on X, and I thought, sure, we'll have a bit of a natter, but what we'll do is we'll look at the Champions League matches, but we're going to look at them from a slightly different point of view. And so what I want to know is, are the Premier League teams going to be impacted by the number of injuries they have, by key suspensions, and by the weather? You have not misread the poll. Are they going to be impacted by the weather? I don't mean because it's cold. We are going to get stuck into that. Please do ignore the fact that the top of my head looks like a bobblehead and it's actually not even in the middle of my head. It's been one of them days, lads. It has been a very humpy kind of hump day, let's be honest. But it's Wednesday, we're midway through the week, there's good football on this evening. Even if my team isn't playing, they are going to be good matches, so I can't complain too much. And let's get stuck into it. I see Rob Always United, I see Guess, I see Mama Flossie back in the house, back in the chat, back again. Thank you so much for joining, folks. And please do smash a like on your way into the video. I do always forget to tell people that. And also, please do have a vote on the poll. Streets is in the house. Welcome to Streets as well. Everybody's here. Just to let you all know, folks, I am going to be letting you go prior to the start, prior to the kickoff of those matches. So we're on a time scale today. Wait till you see what I have ready for you. I'm just so unbelievably organised right now. So look at this, okay? I have the table, and then over here, no, not that one, I have all the matches. So I'm very prepared, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because when I get prepared, sometimes things go wrong. But 2 more subscribers, seriously, oh my goodness me, Flossie, we are on fire. Jay is in the house, Matthew's here. Matthew, you've changed your name back, good to see you. So, everybody's in the house. Let's get started before I run out of time just greeting everybody. But I want to make it clear before I share my screen, this stream is not about picking on Spurs. It is not. I promise you, the aim is not to pick on Spurs, even if it might seem like that for a few minutes. I do have a purpose. I'm going to move on from them after I'm done with them. But let's just get started, because I haven't spoken about Spurs too much, other than the fact that Frank is under serious pressure, and obviously we had a bit of quotes from Romero previously. But after their last Premier League match, I've been storing this one. We had this football on TNT Sports. Tottenham haven't won any of their last 5 Premier League games. Now, I know it's the Champions League tonight. I'm going to link it. Just be patient. Bear with me. Trust the process, as we're all doing at the moment with our football clubs. Tottenham haven't won any of their last 5 Premier League games. Their next 4 fixtures are brutal as well. Next up in the Premier League, they have City, United, Newcastle, Arsenal. So there's a strong possibility they might go 9 without winning in the Premier League, which means they're going to be feeling a little bit determined to get a result tonight in the Champions League, because their Premier League is looking disastrous. So they need something to hold on to. Thomas Frank definitely needs something to hold on to, or he's going to be sacked. But they're going to be feeling like they absolutely need to win a match tonight, because Premier League not looking good. The problem is, let's see here. No, we'll just finish off on that match on the Premier League, and then we'll go into the problem with them wanting to win a match tonight. So this was again after their match, their most recent match in the Premier League. And this is from The Athletic. The Tottenham fans were furious with the result, the performance, and with Thomas Frank. In the first half, they sang sideways and backwards everywhere we go. After Burnley went 2-1 up, they sang "We want Frank out" and "Sacked in the morning." This is not the first time a Spurs away end has turned on the manager like this. And though the worst of it was softened by Christian Romero's emphatic equaliser, it is getting more pointed, more brutal and angrier. And that is from Jack Pitt-Brooke. And again, this was just after that match. This was on the 24th of January. But it gives you kind of an insight into how difficult things are at Spurs at the moment. More difficult than usual. And then knowing that they absolutely need to get a win in the Champions League, they need to do something to stop the anger, the outrage, the turmoil, whatever word you want to use, the chaos. They need a win. They need a really good win. And then this news came out. Pedro Porro set to miss 4 weeks with a hamstring injury. Not good, big bad. So you're thinking, right, well, that's pretty bad as it is. Now, let me see, lads. You don't need to hear this because you can read it, but what I want to do is test out something and see if I can make it that you can hear it. So I'm going to try and play this. Please let me know. Mic is a bit quiet. The sound settings are exactly the same as on every other stream. I have the mic set to max. So I don't know why I would be quieter, because the settings are literally the exact same as last night. Absolutely nothing has changed since last night. When I look at it on my side, when it tells me the volume of my mic, it's telling me that the decibels are exactly the same as yesterday as well. So I don't know. Maybe I just had it too far away from my mouth. It literally could have been that I had the mic too far away. Is that better now? Sorry, I wasn't even reading yous because I was in such a flow. I was going to come back to yous. Is that better now when I have the mic closer to me? The mic was a bit far. Sounds fine now. Flossie, is it better for you now as well? Maybe that it might not have been anything technical. It literally might have just been me not having it close enough to my mouth. Oopsie. When I come in, perfect, that's better. Okay, so yeah, it wasn't the settings, it wasn't the mic, it wasn't the technology, it was me. It was the user, and that's what they say. A bad workman blames his tools. Well, it wasn't the tool, I was the tool. I am the tool. But it's good. That's good. Thank you for letting me know, because obviously I want you to be able to hear me. Otherwise, what is the point in me speaking? But yeah, so I literally, when I come in to sit down, because the desk is obviously here with all the things on it, and this is on like a big arm, but the arm, it just gets in the way, and I like a tidy desk, and so when I come in, I just fling it towards the computer, and then I obviously didn't pull it close enough back to me for you to be able to hear me. Apologies for that, people. Thank you for letting me know. Hopefully that's good now, and I haven't burst anybody's eardrums by making it too loud now. So thank you very much, everybody, for letting me know. But what I'm going to try and, let's face it, we haven't got our hopes high when I'm in charge of the deck, but I'm going to play this. Let me know if you can hear it, because I've pushed a button and I don't know what it does. So I think it might allow you to hear this video. If not, do let me know. I'm going to be keeping an eye on the chat so I won't miss it.
First thing, then Pedro hasn't travelled, unfortunately picked up a hamstring injury, so he'll be out for 4 weeks. Mickey hasn't travelled, minor thing, is possible available for the weekend. I think that's it. First thing, then Pedro has...
Oh, that's so exciting, right? Let me turn this back off. That's so exciting. I saw this button earlier and I thought maybe that's what it would do. And then I wasn't sure. And I was like, let's just test it out. But so, obviously, he's just talking more about the injury to Pedro Porro. He hasn't travelled. Unfortunately, he's picked up a hamstring injury, so he will be out for 4 weeks. So, just confirming what we've already said, Mickey van de Ven will miss Spurs' clash against Eintracht Frankfurt. They said tomorrow, it's today, because obviously they posted it yesterday. But that's excellent news. Look at us troubleshooting while we're here. The thing is, that isn't all of Spurs' problems. So bear in mind what we've just read about all of the problems, about the toxicity, about the manager getting sacked, about the way the fans are angry. They're not just going to be missing Porro and Van der Ven. So again, this was posted yesterday, so when they say tomorrow, they mean today. Tottenham Hotspur will be missing 14 senior players, so they're not including like their youths and their extras, 14 senior players when they take on Frankfurt today. So Dragusin is ineligible, Sousa is ineligible, Gallagher is ineligible, Basuma is ineligible, and Tell is ineligible. Then we get to Porro's injured, Van de Ven's injured, Ben Davies is injured, Bentancur is injured, Bergvall is injured, Madison is injured, Kudus is injured, Kulusevski is injured, and Richarlison is injured. And I would say all of the Spurs fans probably feel a little bit like this evening, because this is a match they absolutely need to win. And after this match, they have that horrendous run in the Premier League, let's go back down to it, of City, United, Newcastle, Arsenal, one after the other, having not won any of their last 5. So not only do they need a win tonight, they're then going to need to, at the very least, put in a performance in the next 4 games. This is dreadful. And obviously myself and Ash, we speak about injuries on a regular basis. We speak about, Newcastle have obviously had an enormous amount of injuries. They're the highest on the minutes missed by players for injury so far this season. Arsenal are pretty high on that table, but I would say if Spurs continue like this, they're going to overtake everybody, because obviously we've got some here are ineligible, but the vast majority of them are actually injuries, which is just horrendous. So when we look then, let's get the right one. So then we go, where are Spurs now? Let's find them here. When they play tonight, Eintracht Frankfurt. So Eintracht Frankfurt are currently, where are they? Oh, they're down here, so that maybe isn't so bad. They're currently in 33rd out of 36 teams. So to be fair, Tottenham, if they're going to have this many injuries, this is a reasonable match that they might still have a chance. But I mean, it's impossible that that's just not going to impact them at all. It's absolutely impossible. It's definitely going to impact them. It couldn't not. And if I was Thomas Frank, I would be feeling very nervous about this match. Very, very, very nervous. But it is not just Spurs. Spurs have quite severe issues, but it's not just Spurs that are having issues at the moment. So what I'm going to do is pull up the next team that we're going to take a little bit of a look at for injuries. But first, I want to read some of your comments, because I knew they were having some issues. I didn't realise how drastic their injury list was, because that's really quite serious. So let me see what you guys are saying. So obviously we know Rob, Flossie, Guess, Streets are in the house, Jay is in the house, Matthew's in the house, everybody who else is here. Yeah, so Streets was starting to list off the injuries before I got to them, so he knew, and he is saying Spurs might just get relegated. Would love to see it after that jammy Europa League final win. I mean, it would be hard not to take joy from that. But we, as Manchester United fans, we need the Premier League teams to do well. So I was looking earlier, obviously Chelsea are playing Napoli. They're going up against our very own Scott McTominay and Rasmus Højlund. So obviously, as a United fan, you want Napoli to win. But if Napoli win, that means Chelsea aren't doing well. And we need Chelsea to do well. We need all the English teams to do well, because I would feel more confident with 5 places for the Champions League rather than 4. And also, what was the other reason? There's a second reason. Oh yeah, we need Chelsea to stay in the Champions League, because the longer all of these teams stay in all of these other competitions, the less time they have to concentrate on the Premier League. So at the moment, we are out of everything. We have nothing else except trying to get into the Champions League spots and stay in the Champions League spots, which will be the hard part for us. So the longer that all of the other our competition for these spots are in other competitions, like the Champions League, like the Europa League, like all the cups, it means that they have less concentration for the Premier League, which is good for us. So we need them to do well for it to be 5 places instead of 4, and we need them to continue in other competitions so that we can just continue to concentrate on the Premier League while they have to spread their attention elsewhere. So rather selfishly, I kind of want them to do well, although I'm not going to cry if they lose. You know what I mean? So I have mixed emotions on this one because yes, I would love to see them lose, but also I kind of need them to win. That is about the mic. So we got that all sorted. Alanma is in the house. Did I say hi to Jay? I can't remember who I said hi to now. Let me see. How many hamstring injuries? Probably a lot, because that's a long, long list. Oh, actually, I can tell you that. I can tell you that now in a little minute, how many of them are hamstrings. Streets is saying Garnacho and Hoyland on the same pitch. Well, that is if they both actually get minutes. Are the lineups all out yet? They probably are. We can probably tell you if they're going to be on the same pitch. Where is Napoli and Chelsea lineups? Are these confirmed lineups? So Hoyland's definitely playing. Garnacho is not starting, although he will likely come in off the bench. What I will do while I'm in here, because we have Flossie in the house, where is Newcastle? Let's take a look at the lineups and then we'll go back to the injuries. So Newcastle's lineup is Pope, Dan Burn, Chow, Botman, Hall, Tonali, Ramsey, Miley, Willock, Voltamada and Ilanga. Now, I'm going to go to who else? Not right now. Let's have a little look at Arsenal. I don't know if we have any of our Arsenal heads in the house, but let's just pop theirs up. So in goal, you've got Kepa, then you've got Miles Lewis-Skelly, Calafiori, who's just back from injury, Mosquera, Ben White, Eze, Norgard, Kai Havertz, Martinelli, Gyökeres, Madueke. Okay, who else have we got? I clicked on the Chelsea one and then didn't actually read out the Chelsea one, so that was intelligent. Let's look at Liverpool. We have Alanma in the house for Liverpool. So Alisson, Robertson, Van Dijk, Gravenberch, Frimpong, McAllister, Szoboszlai, Gakpo, Wirtz, Salah, Ekitike. And let's go back. Oh, Manchester City. I keep forgetting about them. I don't know what it is. I just always forget about them. Donnarumma, Nori, Ake, Kushinov, Nunez, Nico O'Reilly, Silva, Doku, Marmoush, Turkey, Haaland. That is a bloody strong lineup. I mean, to be fair, Galatasaray, you just never know with them. And obviously Oshiman's going to be up front for them. But that's a really, really, really strong lineup from City. Do you know the way sometimes you think, teams might need to rotate? Not Pep. He's having none of that carry on. And then let's go back and actually look at the Chelsea lineup, because I literally looked for Garnacho and then switched it off. So Sanchez in goal, which is obviously a weak point for them at this point. Cucurella, Fofana, James, Gusto, Caicedo, Santos, Neto, Enzo Fernandez, Estevao and Pedro, João Pedro. So those are the lineups, people. We will come back to those in just a moment. But lads, I'm reading them all out and I didn't show yous. I thought I was showing yous on the screen. Sure, I'm a dope. I'm a silly sausage. Anyway, I read them all out, so you got to hear it in my voice. We'll pull them back up. If there was anybody in mystery you want me to pull back up, do let me know. I'll pull them back up for yous, because silly me thought I was showing yous. But back to the injuries. So, where are we now? Where are we? I've lost my injuries is what I've done. There was an article today in the Mirror about Arsenal's injury news, suspensions and expected return dates ahead of the Champions League clash this evening. So let me share this so you can actually see what I'm looking at for a change. He's going to have to rotate, blah, blah, blah. Urian Timber, William Saliba and Mikel Merino all featured in Sunday's 3-2 loss to Manchester United. and were all absent from training. So regarding Saliba and Timber, they have some niggles, and it's a good opportunity now that we can make a different kind of work with them to get them in the best. So Saliba and Timber are injuries. Declan Rice is out through suspension, and Marino is also out through suspension. So that is going to impact them. But what I actually just want to look at, because it'll make it easier for us, these are, and I've just included the teams for the Champions League here. So these are the official injury news according to the Premier League website. So Saliba, Timber, Max Diamond, Calafiori. Obviously we've seen Calafiori is in the lineup, so he is just back from injury. And then we know they're missing obviously 2 through suspension as well in Marino and Declan Rice. Chelsea through injury, and you can see here in the centre the type of injury that they have, because Streets was asking about that a little second ago. Can I make that bigger? Is that better? It might be a little bit easier to see if I make it a bit bigger. So Chelsea through injury are missing Romeo Lavia, Levi Colwell, Dario Asugo, Tossin, Cole Palmer, Jorgensen. But the thing with Cole Palmer is apparently he's not injured. He had a little bit of a niggle, and then he was in training yesterday, and he's actually absolutely fine. There he is there in full training yesterday. Apparently he had a little bit of a thing. He was just being rested because he's seen as key for tonight's game, and they didn't want to risk him for the Premier League game because they needed to keep him fit for tonight. So apparently he's absolutely fine. Liverpool's injuries. I don't know who Giovanni Leone is. That might be very mean of me. Stefan Bajektic, Jadon Dans. So maybe these are significant to Liverpool fans, but to me, I don't know. Obviously, Alexander Isak is out with his ankle. Conor Bradley is out with the knee. Chiesa is out, nobody knows why. And Joe Gomez is out with his knee. So while that looks like a reasonable list for Liverpool, 3 of them, I would argue, aren't going to make a whole lot of difference. Streets is asking if Lavia still exists. Well, apparently, at least in theory, he still exists. And then we get to Manchester City. You wouldn't know, when you read the lineup for City, you wouldn't know that they have this many players out. But apparently they have out with injury Gonzalez, Kovacic, Stones, Oscar Bob, Savinho, Gvardiol and Ruben Diaz. So it goes to show you when the teams that have more depth like City and Arsenal, you wouldn't know they have this many injuries to just look at their team until you actually see the list in front of you. Obviously, the further we go down, the bigger these lists are getting. So we know Newcastle have a lot of injuries because Ash is always keeping us up to date on that. So Joe Linton out with groin, Bruno Gomes, Emil Kraft, Lascelles, Schär. Obviously we know Schär. He was watching with his cast on, not the last match, the match before. Tino Livramento with a hamstring. Was he not in the lineup? Have I lost my mind? Who am I thinking? Am I thinking Tonali? Am I mixing up Tino and Tonali? Lineups. I might have lost my mind, lads. Yeah, it was Tonali. All the T names. Apologies. Tino Livramento and Jacob Murphy. Both of those are hamstring. And then obviously we get to Spurs, which we already know about. So to answer Street's question, with a hamstring is Porro, Richarlison and Bentancur. So 3 of them are hamstrings for Spurs, 2 of them for Newcastle, just Oscar Bob with a hamstring for City. The 2 boys I had never heard of for Liverpool, Tossin for Chelsea. There's a lot of hamstring injuries. There's a lot of knee injuries. There's an awful lot of knee injuries knocking about the place there. There's some of them there with City are just a knock, but there's a lot of knees, hamstrings, ankle, like thighs. There's a lot of strains and muscles and problems. And the thing is, we did say, was it after the 3rd international break, I said, prepare yourselves. There's going to be injuries. We're going to see players now who have done loads of travel, we call them international breaks because it's a break from the Premier League, the normal competitions, but it's not a break for most of the players, certainly none of the ones that are on international duty. They're actually doing extra work because not only are they still playing and training, but they're travelling on top of that, which means actually their workload is increased, and then they come back and they're flat to the mat 2 to 3 games a week then for the rest of the season. So what happens then is there's so much strain on their bodies that these injuries, they become absolutely inevitable. So we called it at the end of the last international break, and here it is happening. So it's just a case of, I think, sometimes luck to know who's going to be injured and who's not. But I had a little bit of a joke when I was putting the weather in. I was having a bit of crack with you, but I hadn't totally made it up. So I'm going to get to that in a minute. I just want to see what you guys are saying in the chat. Streets is talking about Oshiman versus Ake. Rest in peace, Ake. No, Reinders isn't starting. Rob can't abide City. He shocked us all by letting us know. Alanma was happy to see the lineup. Well, to hear the lineup. Streets is looking for a win from Chelsea to keep them in the competition. He's let me know Leone had an ACL injury back in October. So obviously lots of injuries going about the place. Let me see. Yes, Flossie is telling me Tino is probably out for the season. Just, it's hard to see when it's like there's nothing you can do about it. Streets is saying Ange is the leading rep for Hamstring FC. Rob, yeah, Spurs are having a tough old time of it, 100%. Let me see. What else are we saying? Have I skipped any comments? I'm aware that I'm talking a lot, guys, and I don't want to be missing any of your comments. Streets, yes, Havertz is playing. He was definitely in the lineup. He's not one of the ones I forgot about. But what I wanted to talk about was the weather. Exciting times, because there's been lots of storms here in Ireland at the minute, but that is not what I'm talking about. Keith Downey is letting us know Newcastle's team flight to Paris was delayed by 3 hours due to severe weather conditions at Newcastle Airport. The team finally took off at 1 p.m. As a result, the scheduled press conference at Parc des Princes, Eddie Howe and Anthony Gordon has been delayed. Now, the reason I want to talk about that is because it is important. See, on another day, I wouldn't pay much heed, but it's literally like, what is it? The 27th. So the day before they're due to play. And the thing is, that means like all of their routine is completely out of whack. So we all know, because Cristiano Ronaldo tells us all the time, but we all know that the pre-match preparation, the time they sleep, the time they eat, everything they do is scheduled to a T, and it's to keep them in tip-top physical condition, if I can get my words out, for the match itself. So delays like this can cause a knock-on effect into the match. Now, I know myself, as I said, here in Ireland, the weather has been crazy. I don't know what this new storm is called, but I know we've had flooding all over the place. The wind has been wild, so I'm not surprised that there was, issues with the flight. It's completely outside your hand, but the thing is, it can impact the team, it can impact the match, and on top of the fact that they do actually have a lot of injuries themselves anyway at Newcastle, it can have a massive impact. Now, not related to the Champions League, more related to the Europa League, but related to injuries to Premier League players and Premier League teams. I did just want to touch, while we're talking about injuries, on Aston Villa. So this was reported yesterday on the 27th by The Athletic. Youri Tielemans is expected to miss around 8 weeks with an ankle injury. It extends Aston Villa's recent misfortune with injuries, particularly in midfield, with Boubacar Kamara out for the rest of the season with a knee injury, while John McGinn is expected to be ruled out for 6 weeks, and he had an operation because he posted yesterday to let us know that the operation went well. So Aston Villa experiencing a lot of injuries, and particularly in the midfield, and this was reported on the 27th, okay? By the 28th, 2 hours ago, Fabrizio Romano is letting us know Douglas Luiz to Aston Villa, signed and sealed right now. Now, the reason I think that is so, not super duper important, but worth talking about is my club, Manchester United, could definitely do with more players. We're completely wasting the window. We've just discussed the number of injuries some of these other teams have. I know Ash's Rage and Newcastle aren't doing more in the window. We are actually going to be speaking to Ash tomorrow night, folks, just to let everybody know. Ash is normally here on a Friday. He's going to be here tomorrow, Thursday instead, so I'll pick his brain more about Newcastle with that. But there are a number of teams experiencing a large number of injuries that aren't being as active in the window. And then we have Aston Villa, 3 players injured, wham bam, Douglas Luiz to Aston Villa, signed and sealed. So it just goes to show some clubs are much more reactive, active, proactive. They're much more interested in doing things than others. And you can see that Aston Villa are absolutely taking their position in the league very seriously. And if anything is going to stand in their way, they are not going to sit on their heels. They're going to get up and they're going to do something about it, which is very, very good to see. And it's something that I would like my team to be doing. So, let me see. Okay, I'm just reading some of your chats, but we're just having a bit of a natter there. So, based on all of those injuries, do we think that the injuries, the suspensions, the travel delays, all of the different things, do we feel that they are or are not going to impact the Premier League teams in their Champions League matches this evening? So, according to the poll, 33% of you are saying yes, 8% of you are saying no, 33% of you are saying some of them, and 25% of you were like, what is she talking about the weather for? The woman has lost her mind. But now that that's all been explained, so it's pretty even essentially between some of them or yes. So essentially yes and yes, basically. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to end that poll right there. You'll be able to see the final results there in the comments, because normally I forget. I end the stream and I'm like, oh, I should have done the poll. But here we are. Now, final answer. So let me see. No, so just Mbumo's unreal. I don't know why we're talking about Mbumo, but he's unreal. But yeah, so I think it's hard to think that they won't have any impact, but I do think it will vary from team to team, because Arsenal, while they have injuries, have a massive depth in their squad, and they're playing Kairat Almaty. So I would still expect Arsenal to absolutely smash it out of the park. They're going to be angry after the game against Manchester United. They're going to have a point to prove. I think Arsenal are going to be absolutely fine. Then we get to Spurs against Frankfurt. Spurs have the most injuries. They're going to be the most impacted. They're not having a good time within their club anyway at the moment. The atmosphere can drag you down. They haven't had a win in their last 5. It's not looking good. But Frankfurt are way down the Champions League table. They're not doing particularly well. If you're a Spurs fan, you would like to think that they can still get a result. However, I would be very nervous just because of the number of injuries, and they're all to first team senior players. They're all to important team members. I would still like to think Spurs can do something. Like, I would say Frank's job literally depends on this, but it's very hard to know. Very hard to know. I would be nervous. Liverpool, I would expect to beat Qarabağ. Regardless, they don't have a huge amount of injuries, to be fair. And Qarabağ actually played my hometown in the Conference League 2 or 3 seasons ago. So I reckon they'll give them a go. They might score a goal, but I reckon Liverpool have to win this. If Liverpool don't beat Qarabağ, genuinely I think Slot could be sacked by tomorrow, because that would be a madness. City, top of the world. Never mind their injuries, their starting 11 is unbelievably strong. Galatasaray will always stick it to you. What I would suggest is there's probably going to be a lot of cards in this match, because Manchester City like to throw themselves on the ground and roll around, and Galatasaray like to get physical. So what I would suggest is forget about whether there's going to be goals. I would say there's almost definitely going to be cards and fireworks in this match. You would like to think City are going to beat Galatasaray, that they'll have enough for them. And then we get to Newcastle, PSG. That one's going to be difficult. That one's going to be really, really, really difficult. It's a tough match. Newcastle have loads of injuries at the moment. Their season has been kind of up and down. And PSG are PSG. If you're Newcastle, and Flossie will be able to tell me how she feels about this, if I'm Newcastle there, I'm probably dancing around if I get a draw. Just because of the team you're playing and the number of injuries that you have and the way the form has been this season so far, I reckon if you can get a draw out of PSG, I would be happy with that. But obviously I don't have the emotional investment in the team that an actual Newcastle fan has. So Flossie is saying we have beaten them, but we are so bad away from home. And that's the thing. It does make a difference because you're going to their place. Flossie is saying that she would take a draw. Obviously, you want to win, but I mean, if we're being realistic, you would take a draw. Streets is saying 2-2. I reckon 2-2 might not be far off. I think there could be there could be goals in that match. I would be happy that it's Voltamaja up front and not Wissa. If I was a Newcastle fan, but I think that could be the game to watch tonight. Of all the games, that one could be very, very good to watch. And then, of course, we have Napoli-Chelsea. I also think that's going to be difficult because while Liam Rossegno has been doing well since he's joined Chelsea, he's getting the results in the bag. They struggled somewhat against Paphos, and they shouldn't have. It took them a while to get going. It took them a while to score. Napoli are on fire at the minute. Scott McTominay has been unleashed and allowed to play the way he wants to. So I reckon that also could end up being a draw. What do we think? And that one's hard to call. Do we think Chelsea can beat Napoli? What do you reckon in the chat? That's probably the one where I go, I really, really, really don't know. Napoli, Chelsea. This could be a big game for Rossegno because it's a hard game. It's a really hard game. Napoli are going to stick it to them. So Streets is saying, you reckon Chelsea 2-1. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, Flossie is saying if Liverpool lose, the screams for Slot out will ramp up. And I actually think it would get to a point where they couldn't be ignored, being quite honest with you. Flossie is saying Paige will be happy Big Nick is playing. She will. Alanma reckons 2-2 for Napoli-Chelsea. So I reckon those bottom two, they're the ones to watch. They're the games that are going to be up for grabs and probably could go either way. Obviously, while we don't want them to win, we do want the Premier League teams to win, to keep giving them a distraction from us on the top 5, and hopefully to make sure that it is in fact a top 5 and not a top 4. Guess is saying, I really like McTominay, he's going to be up for it, agreed. Streets are saying, no way Liverpool are losing that. Well, to be fair, I didn't think Burnley would give them a go, and they did. So sometimes when I look at Liverpool and I'm like, no way, Jose, sometimes it happens. I think it's unlikely. I think Liverpool should win. But sometimes the unlikely thing happens and I kind of want to see it. Sorry, Liverpool fans. But yes, lads, we are 10 to 8. It's nearly kick-off time. Time to go get your drinks, your snacks, your comfy seat. And I will speak to you all tomorrow. Don't forget, tomorrow, live with Lou and Ash, a day earlier than usual. Hopefully you guys will be joining us. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I hope all of your teams win. And I will chat to you all very soon. Have a lovely, lovely evening, people.